We are live. Hi, everybody. Hello, everybody. What am I supposed to say? What's up, guys? What's up, guys? That's the YouTube thing. What's up, guys? Anyway, thank you for being here. This is I'm using a different sort of service, and I'm able to go live on Facebook and on my YouTube channel, which is the first time for me for doing that. And also, this is a bit of a departure for me with this live stream. I usually just do short comedy bits, which are on my YouTube channel, That Darn Dennis. And I've done a couple of live streams, 4 or 5 of them, but they've been sort of like game showy things, and those were fun. But this is just having people on talking about, as the subject says, doing stand-up in China. And I'm going to have some guests on here. I'm going to have on Jimmy Schubert. You know Jimmy Schubert, the very funny comedian and a friend of mine. He's the one that introduced me. I've been to China twice. I've been in I went in 2009 with my friend Ryan Connor, who's going to be on here in a bit too. One of the things about doing stand-up is it allowed me to travel all over a lot of places. It's got to be English-speaking places for the most part. But I've been to every state except for one. I've been in every state in the United States except for one, and that is Arkansas. I've never been to Arkansas. Wouldn't mind going. I'd like to go to Arkansas if you're out there and you want to book me in Arkansas. And I've been in every continent except for Antarctica. Do you pronounce the Do you pronounce the Antarctica? And Australia. I was close to Australia once, but I thought I was going to Australia to take a cruise ship, but I ended up just going to Bora Bora, and the cruise ship had left Australia. But that's as close as I got to Australia. But we're going to have somebody on here. One of our guests today is going to be from Australia, Andy Curtin. He'll be on here. He's in Hong Kong. He ran the club along with Turner Sparks, and ran a lot of the shows there in Shanghai, and that's what we're going to be talking about. As soon as Jimmy can get back, he went to get spruced up. He went to get a jacket on or something. I don't know how far he has to go to get a jacket. He lives in a little place. I think it's not a big mansion. I don't think he had to go to the West Wing or anything to get his jacket. But if you turned in for comedy, because that's normally what I do, the short comedy, check out my web series on YouTube, That Darn Dennis, and there's some live streams on there too. I've taken 2 trips to China, and one was in 2009. I guess I'll get Ryan on here. Ryan was, there's Jimmy. Jimmy came back in a different box. You have to bear with me. I'm getting used to, that's the box, but Jimmy's not there. I'll talk to Ryan first. Let me click Ryan in here. All right, this is working. Ryan.
How's it going, man?
Okay, we got audio too. I'm happy about that. Where are you at the moment, Ryan?
I'm at home. Yeah.
You don't want to say where you live?
Here. Oh yeah, LA. Yeah, my bad. I didn't know how specific we were getting.
Yeah, you're in LA. Now we took a trip to China in. Do you remember what year it was? I think it
was October 2009.
2009, and we didn't fly over there, right? I don't remember flying over there together or anything. We met up over there.
Yeah, because I lived in New York at the time. My flight was. It was like 20 hours one way and 22 the other way, direct from Newark. It was brutality.
Yeah, I know. I was on the flight. My flight from LA was 11 and a half hours to Tokyo, and then another 3.5 hours to Shanghai, which is where we met up.
Yeah. Did you have a long layover?
No, not too long. Not too long. I don't remember it long. I just remember being exhausted because I can't sleep too well on flights. And, I can't sleep at all.
I on the way out there, I could never sleep on flights at all until I was coming back from there, and I passed out for like 20 hours. But on the way over there, I was like, you know what? I can't sleep on flights. I have pretty much a full day. It's time to watch every great movie I've never seen. So on that flight, I watched the first 2 Godfather movies, Pulp Fiction.
Wow.
So I can't even remember what else. It was weird, though, because that's like not the setting. You don't want to watch Godfather on the back of a seat.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, and it's so long a flight, you couldn't get the upgrade there. I mean, you don't not even have enough
Yeah.
points or anything for the upgrade.
This is before I even knew about points. I was a rookie.
2009. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they had the movies back then, even.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was loaded up. There was no like live TV, but they had like every movie.
You sent a couple of pictures. I'm only going to get to show
Mm-hmm.
a couple of pictures, but one of them was a blow up thing, a pillow that I had used right for my flight, but because I can't sleep seated like this, right? I can't sleep seated like that. And what happens?
Yeah.
I'll be seated like that, and then I'm exhausted. I'll finally fall asleep, and I'll jerk my neck back, and then I'll be ruined for a day or two with a bad neck.
Yeah.
I had bought this blow up pillow, and I thought you're supposed to put it on the tray in front of you, and I did, but it was it's not a comfortable thing to be doing, is to be blowing up a device in an airplane full of people like that. This was just a little bit after the shoe bomber,
Yeah.
and everybody was nervous about
Yeah, and everyone should know this. It's like a giant box. Like this pillow is.
Yeah,
it's like a filing cabinet
for your place for your head, so you could drool on the tray table in front of you. Yeah. It didn't work too well. It didn't work too well, but.
Yeah, I think, didn't you tell me you got it from a Sky Mall because you thought it looked ridiculous, and then once you had it, you were just all in or something?
No, I don't think I got it because it looked ridiculous. I don't spend $25 on things that look ridiculous. I think I thought I'd get some use out of it, and I thought, I got a trip to China. Also, I got a big what do you call it? A battery pack, so your devices don't run out. And I've used that. I still have that, but I've used it just that one time. The big battery pack that costs a few bucks. But
yeah, you got to flip that if you haven't used it since then. Sell it.
Yeah. So what do you remember much about the gigs? I remember the gigs were fun. We just had a string of one-nighters.
Yeah.
I got contacted by a guy who there was no comedy clubs in there at the time. Some of our guests later will be talking about the comedy club. They opened up a comedy club. There's Butch. Hey, Butch, we'll see you in a minute. Not in a minute, a few minutes. But the gigs were one-nighters that this guy threw together, and I don't know how often he did them, where I was every 6 months or every 2 years he would do these gigs, but they were well-attended, there was nice people. And a lot of people think when you tell them you went to China, they're like, wait a second. The audience
right.
Chinese, they speak Chinese. Do you speak any Chinese? And that's not what it is.
Yeah.
It's expatriates, people from Americans or British people that live over there now and have sort of separate cultures and look for separate things to do. They were fun crowds. There were one-nighters. One-nighters in the States, they always kind of scare you, because it's at
these are amazing. It's just these people were so starved for live entertainment and like English language live entertainment. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the crowds were wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think for the shows themselves, I just remember they were really fun. We didn't have to translate, we didn't have to like change any language to make it work or anything like that. My memories are more like after the shows when like someone was like in Shanghai, a guy said, come with us down the streets, the only legal hash bar in China. I was like, well, then it's probably not legal. It's why would there be one legal drug place in the country? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and you said in one of your messages about getting taken for was it the first day you were there?
Dude, as soon as I arrived, and I didn't even realize I got scammed until I got to the hotel and saw you. I thought shit's just expensive in China. So
wait, what happened then?
So all right, first I go to the ATM in the airport, right? It was like $300 US, and I was told you live like a king in China for a week, considering our meals are covered. I go to the hotel. You were teaching a class on writing for TV at the time, so you were not in the hotel.
You
So
mean in China?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
I was advising this TV show that they'd hired me to do some. Okay, I forgot about
gotcha.
that.
Advise. Yeah, so I took a walk just through that district. Ate some meat that I later realized was not the type of red meat that I'm used to.
Right.
And then I'm just kind of standing in this square, and someone says, "Hey, you're American." I was like, "Yeah." Like, she said, "I'm from Mongolia, and we're selling this art exhibition. You should come see this." So I go to this art exhibition. I buy these 2 pieces. I actually have one on the wall over here. I like them. Turns out I just paid a little bit too much, but it was the amount you'd pay for them in the U.S., right?
Right.
So I wasn't that upset about it.
Right.
Then I'm walking back to the hotel, almost at the hotel, and here, "Hi, American?" I said, "Yeah." And then I turn to these 3 young women, and they're like, "We're have you been to a tea ceremony yet?" And I was like, "No, I've never been to a tea ceremony." Like, "You have to. It's only here every 125 years," or something absurd like that.
That sounded great. You were sucked in. I mean, tea ceremony. Wait till I tell everybody.
I know, because I have a Chinese brother, and I was like, I'll be able to tell him I went to a tea ceremony. Of course, I tell him I went to a tea ceremony. He's like, I don't even know what that is. He lived there for the first 15 years of his life. So anyway, it's very good tea, but I got like 5 thimbles full of tea, and they bring out the bill, and it was, I want to say my part was like 200 US or whatever it was the exact amount of money I had left from that ATM trip.
Billed? Is that how you got scammed? I thought they just took the bills out of your hands and said, "This is what you owe."
Oh, no. And I was in there, and they said, "You can go to an ATM if you want." And I was thinking, well, I would love to do that and just run. But this building it was in felt like an abandoned mall, so it was already sketchy. And then I was like, I should just run. But I was like, but it would be fishy if I brought the art to the ATM, and I didn't want to leave the art because I didn't know it was scam art at the time.
Right. You look like a rich guy, right? You think you got a rich guy.
Yeah. So I pay. So I just pay, and then I got back, and I got to the hotel. I see you, and I said, "Yeah, I got this tea ceremony. I got this art. It was a little expensive," and I told you how much it was, and you go, "Oh, you got scammed," and I was like, "Huh?" And then that night,
I'd been there like 3 hours longer than you. I
know. You got the requisite 3 hours. So when we got to the show that night, our handlers, the first thing they said is, "You need to be aware of 2 things. There's an art scam and there's a tea scam."
They saw you coming, huh? They saw you getting off the plane there in Shanghai. Hey, I'm going to bring in my friend Jimmy before he glitches out again. Hang on a second. Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Jimmy.
Jimmy Schubert, my friend. He was supposed to be on first, but he went to get all dolled up with his Puma jacket there or something.
Well, no, I just want to make myself presentable. You know what I mean? I gave myself a haircut, not bad. I'm sure I'm gonna have to pay a repair fee to get it fixed when I go back when we come out of quarantine.
Yeah.
But I want to make myself presentable.
Yeah, and cutting your own hair is kind of tricky, right? Because you're using the mirror and your hands going this way and that way and this way, and it's all tricky.
Yeah, I had to go on eBay and order one of them Flobies. I had to go back. I got one at a discounted rate, but it's easy that way,
Oh, the Flobie cut.
Yeah, well, I did a pretty good job, but it looks all right.
Hey, Jimmy, do you guys know each other, Jimmy and Ryan Connor?
No, Ryan, but it's nice to meet you, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to have on Jimmy first. Jimmy, you're going to hang with me throughout this live stream, right?
Absolutely. Actually, I was here, but my camera was facing the wrong way.
I was getting I'm getting all it's all glitching up down here. I got like people that are waiting, and your thing kept going, device not connected, and then you'd come back and you weren't in the shot, and then it said device not connected. So when you came on, I thought I better get him on. Maybe that'll lock.
Yeah, I got one of those old computers. The thing has a clutch on it. It's one of those wood burning computers. So that may be the problem. I should get a new setup.
Is it a Wang? You have a Wang or?
Yeah, that's what I have. I have a Wang.
Are you on
It's
Prodigy?
on your desk, and if you're
coming through
on your desk, you got some explaining to do.
Yeah. And are you using Prodigy as your online service? Prodigy, remember that one?
Yeah, I hooked up through Friendster. I'm coming at you live through a Friendster hookup that I got from MySpace. No, I'm kidding. I'm fine. I just had the camera pointing the wrong way.
That's cool. I'm glad you're here. Jimmy was tuned me into the second trip that I took to China. Ryan was my partner on my first trip where we did a bunch of one-nighters. There was no club at the time.
Yeah.
And
also Israel as well too. Not only there.
Wow.
I mean, you were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
And one of the things, like during this pandemic and not being able to do what we love to do, and one of the things I am absolutely so thankful for is that the career that I've had, I've been able to go all over the world and entertain people all over the world and do it and make a living doing it. I mean, it's like, I think when I think I'm going, hey, this is amazing. You meet a guy like Tom Rhodes and his passport is like this thick. I throw my skinny passport up there. I get a little bit of passport envy, He's had to get a couple things stuck in there.
Yeah.
Tom goes all over the place. But I will tell you, once you start doing that, or at least I'm glad I got it out of the way now, because I don't know how much of it I'll be able to do moving forward with this pandemic and stuff.
Right.
But at least I'm glad I got it in. I did go to China. And I have to tell you, man, the first, we just connected through email and started talking. And when I flew to Beijing, I was like, boy, I hope these guys are there. In fact, I think I had a layover in another city. And then I didn't get to Beijing till 11 o'clock at night. I was going, boy, I hope these guys are there. I hope these people are here.
Yeah.
I hope this is a real deal. I was just assuming that everybody was a professional and I wasn't going to get wind up, having to, get on the business end of a glory hole and service the Chinese guys, and it was all a scam. Anyway, the point is, it worked out. I get off the plane, and it's Jimmy Schubert, and I went to a nice hotel. I will say this. One of the great things about traveling in Asia were the hotels. The hotels were amazing. They were so great. I mean, the some of the hotels I stayed in were some of the nicest hotels I've ever been in my life.
Yeah, the first hotel that Ryan and I stayed at was it was a trendy kind of place, and it was the first time you remember the little things. I remember it was the first time I'd ever seen that key card that the lights will go off in your room if the key's not in the thing. It was the first time.
Yeah.
And then when we got back here, but that was one of the little things that you remember. Ryan,
but the toilets, bro, the toilets in China. The toilets, bro. They got a little spray up the. I mean, you had to work it out. There was all these buttons. There were lights. It flushed automatically and a heated seat on it. You know what I mean?
You must have been in a nicer hotel than we were in, Jimmy, with the lights on your toilet and everything.
Yeah. We didn't have lights on the toilet, but there was a Ferrari dealership in our hotel. Do you remember that?
I don't.
That was and the one in Shanghai. That's the thing that kind of shocked me, and I was like, oh, that's why they're preying on me. They think that I can afford a Ferrari hotel.
You know what's interesting? I was in Greenville, Mississippi, the week before I was going to China for the first time. I was at a golf tournament. My friend Steve Azar, who does this thing called the Delta Salt Classic, and I met this actual doctor down there who was great. And I was having dinner. He joined me, and he was a friend of his was joining us later. And she goes, after this, I got to go back to LA, and I'm going to Shanghai. And she goes, you're going to Shanghai? My son just bid on this, 3 nights, 4 days at a Shanghai Crown Plaza, not a 5-star hotel. It was like a 6-star hotel. It was unbelievable. It was gorgeous. And I go, well, let me just see. And she goes, my son's never going to use it. If you want it, she gave it to me. So I go back to LA. I go out there, and so I'm staying at the Crown Plaza in Shanghai, which was like the first time. And even Andy and Turner were like, holy smokes, this is amazing. And it was pretty terrific.
Is that where they had the lights on the toilet? Where would the lights be on the toilet exactly?
That was in another hotel I stayed at in Shanghai. Not the first time, but the second time through was a nice thing. But I always grabbed the business card from the hotel so I could give it to the taxi driver.
What part of the toilet has the light on it, or is it just all glowing?
No, you can change it. Blue, red. green. If you're taking a dump, maybe you like green. Maybe you like blue, maybe you like red.
So
And,
mood lighting, basically.
No, but the toilet seat would come up automatically. It would come up automatically. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
we didn't have that.
Before you came on, Jimmy, Ryan and I were talking about. Ryan got scammed a little bit in Shanghai.
Yeah.
Today that he got scammed. Now I remember my first morning there. Now I speak a bit of Spanish, so whenever I travel, a lot of times if my English isn't, I'll try my Spanish. You know how your brain works. Like I know they don't speak English.
Yeah.
So I'll say something like, "No, hablo Chinese," or that kind of thing. So that didn't get me anywhere. But I'm used to traveling and being able to communicate, and this was I got a real awakening that first morning. I went out on the street. And we're used to Chinese food. We get Chinese food and you look at it, but breakfast time was a different deal with these different street vendors. And you're looking at things and you're trying to recognize it looks like, like octopus eyeballs in wildebeest sauce or something. You don't know what it is, and there's no.
What you never had octopus eyeballs for breakfast, Dennis? What do you? You never had octopus eyeballs?
It's all like in pink juice and stuff, and all these things. Like, I can't even begin. And you need something to eat though. So you're like, you're just pointing, and then they're going, and you open up your hands with the bills in them, and they're taking the bills like this is what we need, and you have no idea what you're doing.
You know what I did? I got an app on the phone. There was English to Chinese and Chinese to English, so I could go, how do I say this? Take me to the airport. And so I would jump in the cab. I'd listen and go, Ni Chi Lo Fan La Ma. And I would go, Ni Chi Lo Fan La Ma. And then the guy would go, Chico, I go, yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah. You don't know the
It doesn't break it down. It doesn't break it down going the other direction. And I would start these conversations. The one phrase I did learn how to say in Chinese was, how much for a hand job with no eye contact? That came in very handy, served me very well, because I got scammed too. I kept going for massages, and they kept going, I go, no, I'm just here for the massage. But, they wanted to give you an ironic ending.
Well, lucky for you, the massages have come to stateside here now, Jimmy. So you don't have to go all the way across the country.
Man,
across the world.
I did Rosetta Stone for like a month to try to learn Chinese before I went. And it was the same thing. Only phrase, after 1 month, all I could say was the man rides a horse, which is like, no scenario where I've never even said that in English. Like there's no time.
Which would come in handy if you were there during the Ming Dynasty.
Right. And I'm next to someone who's never seen a man or a horse before, and I have to break the whole scenario down.
Yeah.
So I gave up, and I was like, as long as I can say thank you, I'm fine. So it's something like 谢谢, something like that. So I'm saying it for 2 or 3 days, and then our guide or whatever is like, you've been saying it wrong this whole time. I was like, well, what am I saying? And he goes, you're actually just saying smoking to everyone. I was like, dude, why didn't you why'd you let this go for 3 days?
Yeah.
So he's like, smoking is shishi. Thank you is like shishian. So then I start saying what I think is thank you. 2 days later, he goes, now you're just saying a woman's name. So it's like I would pay for something and then just go, Brenda. And
yeah, because the thing is the inflection and like it's not only how it's not the words, it's the
yeah. It sounds like you got it down pretty good, Jimmy. You got it down pretty good. Was it an app that taught you that? You got an app that?
No. I work with Turner. He go Ni Chin Lo Fang La Ma. Like he worked with me for like 3 days. I know
that was like 2.5 days.
No, but it was like what you're saying is, have you eaten yet? And that's the way the locals would say hello to each other. Nichino Panama. They didn't say say the traditional hello. They said Nichino Panama, and then they would see me do it, and they go, "Oh, this guy knows what he's talking about." And then I got charged regular price for tea, and I didn't get scammed.
No, what's that? What's that picture behind you? Did you say? Did you tell me you had a Matisse in your house?
That's a Matisse. That's a Matisse. It's Bob Matisse. He was his little brother. The real Matisse.
Bob Matisse, not the real Matisse. Hey, I got a picture. I have a picture.
We're frozen.
You're breaking up a little bit on me, Jimmy, but don't go anywhere. I have a picture that.
Get in.
I got to show the whole thing here, and take us off the screen. Oh wait, it just took up. Why did it do that? Oh
yeah. There I am on the Great Wall.
Yeah, that's you on the Great Wall. Now I didn't go to the Great Wall. I'm going to take you off there, but that's you on the Great Wall. How did you get?
Dude,
I didn't go to the Great Wall. You went. Do you remember how you got there?
I thought you and I went together. I know that it was some people who were at our last show. So that was the day I went to the airport, like in the morning. I thought you went too, but I guess not. I don't remember. I remember one of them was a journalist for AFP, and one of them was a journalist for like the Chinese news agency. Yeah, and that's all I remember. I got in a car and I went to the Great Wall.
That's what I remember now. It's coming back to me. They said it was gonna be like a 4-hour ride in a minivan or something. And I said, well, I got a 15-hour flight. I don't really think I think the wall will be here next time I come back. It's been here long enough.
Odds are, yeah,
odds are. But how did they get?
I will say this though. I will say this. At least we went to China and did these shows when it was fun to go. I mean, a friend of mine, Matt Davis, had gone to do some of these gigs, but it was several years afterwards. And like he was coming out of a club, and one of the Chinese policemen said, "Give us your passport." Someone said they saw you doing drugs, and he had to go down to the police station and take a urine test. And so, like towards the end, it was not as much fun as when we went.
Yeah, we had a blast. The shows were all a blast. I have a picture of you here, Jimmy. It's going to take up your slot there. And now it's covering Ryan again. Sorry about that, Ryan. I'm not
all
sure
good.
But
that's the MGM in Macau.
Wow.
Oh,
Macau. That was Macau. That was one of the rooms when you went down to Hong Kong. One of the nights you would go and do Macau, but it was MGM Casino. And I will tell you,
I remember I couldn't do Macau after I did Hong Kong. I couldn't do Macau because I had to get back and do the Chocolate Hut in Syracuse or something. Like that.
Bro,
I couldn't do Macau.
For you don't know what you missed in Macau.
Oh yeah.
We won't go into it because we're trying to keep us PG-13. And but Macau, it's really, it's like Vegas on steroids. Like the hotels are 3 times the size of the hotels in Vegas because there's a lot of Chinese people. There's 1.7 billion Chinese people, and that 0.7 is more than we have in our entire country. Yeah,
I know. I've heard that about China, that they have a lot of people. I've heard that.
Yeah, there's a lot of Chinese guys. For every Chinese guy, there's like 9 Chinese guys. Every time I stuck my hand in my pocket, I was shaking hands with a Chinese guy. You know what I'm saying? My buddy Matt Davis tells a story like it's so like he was at a train station and he was using the facilities at the railroad station. He was urinating into the urinal, and he said while he was peeing in the urinal, a guy came in on his right and started peeing in the same urinal, and a dude came in on his left. They were like just all peeing in the same urinal. Like, what are we doing? Were we having a sword fight, fellas? What's going on? But I mean, they have zero policy on personal space.
Yeah,
no personal space at all.
Well, I'm going to bring in some guys here. I'm going to bring in some guys that live there. Let me bring them in and then we'll say hello.
What's up?
There's Turner Sparks.
Turner Sparks, ladies and gentlemen.
Niching La Fan Lamar, Jimmy.
Turner Sparks. Turner Sparks. Turner, raise your hand.
I can't get my video to work. My video's not working.
Oh, we just got Andy Curtin's audio.
Hey, believe me, I don't need to see that. I don't need to see that guy I can
Right.
just hear him. All right, that's enough. Andy, what's up, buddy? How are
James,
you,
what's up?
Nietzsche no Panama.
Mate, I have to say, this is genuinely, that's not bad. If you said that, people would know what you're talking about.
That's exactly right, mate. And I'm also could do the Australian accent. I got a scar. Because I got attacked by a shark. It goes through my ankle all the way up to my vagina.
Mate, you sound like a British person who's just had a lobotomy.
Well, maybe I should tell people this that Andy is from Australia, and that's why Jimmy has another opportunity to show off his language skills. We got another app where we can speak Australian just as good as Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile Shubert. Crocodile Shubert. Call me Crocodile Shubert.
I'm impressed we got this far in. We haven't heard about any tornadoes. That's what I was waiting for.
No, I know. That'll come up later. But you know what? I'm glad that you were down and you moved down to Hong Kong, Andy. I'm glad you moved down there.
Well, Jimmy,
because I heard you on the fence.
Let me introduce these guys first. I haven't introduced them.
Sorry.
Okay. Turner and Andy were I'll call them partners in crime there in Shanghai. Turner's an American, but he had a business over there and in Shanghai, and he started the comedy club with Andy. Or he brought. How did that all play out, Turner?
So actually, you guys came in October 2009. I started an open mic in December 2009.
No, wait. I came with Ryan in 2009. To your gig, I didn't come till 2014 or so.
Exactly. Yeah. So December of 2009, I started an open mic in this city, Suzhou, I was living in. And that was the first English language open mic that we knew of and that anyone has ever found out about in China. That was the first English language one. So we started this little scene at the very tail end of 2009, 2010. A year later, I met Andy. He had started a scene in Shanghai not long after ours. So we were about 50 miles apart from each other, one town away, one city away. So we met up with each other, started working together. 2012, we started bringing people out. We brought Butch Bradley out first, who's going to be on a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And I got an email from this guy, Turnus Bucks in Suzhou, and I showed it to my buddy, and he goes, "That's not a real name."
Yeah.
This is spam.
Andy ignored my emails for 6 months because they thought I was a fake person.
Yeah, maybe if it was Richard Smith or something, I would have got back to you faster. But
hey, Turner, tell them how we met Turner. Believe it or not, I was in Acumel, Mexico, at the Acumel Comedy Festival. I wound up golfing with three of these guys. One of them happened to be Turner's dad, one of his friends. And we went out golfing on this golf course. And then he goes, "Oh, my God." And we started communicating via email because I did a comedy festival in Mexico and wound up in Shanghai.
Well, what's crazy is we had already booked Jimmy we never met in person.
That's the only people that booked Jimmy is the people who have never met in person.
So we already booked Jimmy to come out. So it goes Butch got us Jimmy got us Dennis. And that's how we did it. And then we ran the club. So 9 months a year, 10 times a year, something like that. We would have one of you guys fly out to China. We'd hit 5 or 6 cities around the country. Andy and I would be the opening comedians. I would host. Andy would go work the door. And then when I would bring Andy up, I'd run and go work the door while he was being the feature act. And then we'd bring one of us, the host would go back and bring up Dennis or bring up Schubert. And then we go to the next town and do it all over again and go to the next town.
So we had the first person we had was Butch Bradley, and Turner and I were like, "Yeah, I think physically we can handle this about 9 times a year."
Dude, you know what's interesting? Yeah, especially after Butch, Atlantic City Stumbler. But here's what happened. I'm not kidding, bro. When I got to Beijing, they booked me for a one-nighter in Beijing before I then had to fly to Shanghai.
Right.
And they were just trying to create more opportunity. I literally landed in Beijing. This guy has the door thing. They take me to the hotel. And we're doing this thing called the Bookworm. And it's with Des Bishop, who is from New York City, but Des became famous in Ireland, and he's still over there now. But Des was booking a one-nighter essentially in Beijing. I did a one-nighter in Beijing. I swear to God. And it was like right about the time to introduce me, the jet lag hit me. Like I felt like I just get punched in the back of the head, and I'm trying to like stay, and I'm out there, and it's like it was like an American. It was an English speaking, but there were also guys doing bilingual. There was one guy, the Chinese comedy team thing from like the 1960s. This guy was doing both parts. He was speaking Chinese. There's a one-nighter, an English-speaking one-nighter in Beijing. I go, comics are like cockroaches. I mean, they'll drop a banner anywhere and do comedy. It's how starved like people are for like.
Dennis.
I go, it's there for a one-nighter. A one-nighter, out of control. And then I flew to Shubert. Got really good. It was amazing. It was. I mean, who does that? Who does that? It wasn't like I was getting booked.
A one-nighter
Connection here
in Singapore for you guys, or you guys hooked me up to it. I'm gonna bring in Butch. Butch.
Someone trying to hack into a Zoom meeting.
Well, I'm gonna bring in Butch right now.
What's
Butch,
up, people?
There's Butch.
Oh no!
Butchie.
Yeah, Schubert. You haven't listened to you, Schubert, with your fine Chinese Philadelphia bumbler. Yeah, great. How is it, Turner? Everybody, good to see you. Dennis, thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is Butch Bradley. He was. You said he was the first of us you had over.
Yep.
And one of the reasons I wanted to have Butch on is that.
Butch, where you at? A Motel 6? What's going on over there?
Huh?
Schubert's heckling me.
Oh, Butch stayed. I got there and they said, yeah, there's a guy named Butch Bradley. He came over here and he hasn't left. He's still floating around China. Were there that many gigs, Butch, or what were you? Did you find another way to make money? What were you doing over there?
You know what? And I was lucky. Andy and
Hello?
Turner came up with this plan to bring me out as like the first resident headliner, and they should have sent me to a boot camp for training first, because China is the ultimate American whisperer. It was you can do whatever you want in China. They don't care if you kill yourself, and they forgot to tell me that. But look. I drove these two nuts. I got lost probably a dozen times my first month there, where Andy would come find me, turn me around, and go, "You live there." It was,
I think it was about a dozen times in the first 12 days.
Yeah, right. It was absolutely incredible. It absolutely changed me. I thought the Chinese people were gracious, cool. And then I understood that pushing and shoving was, I got to get home. I worked 10 hours. And I started to understand the culture a little bit. But Andy and Turner are special people. I don't know how they did it. China chewed me up and spit me out and made me a better American.
Well, you were there for a year. I don't understand that. That's the part I don't understand, being there for a year. How did that work? How did you survive?
Well, these guys hooked me up. They booked all the gigs. I would do Suzhou with Turner, or Turner and Andy would. Andy and I were in town. Andy would do the marketing. I think it was like Friday, Thursday. I can't remember if it was Thursday, Friday, but it was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And then we did a Saturday night show where we brought in all these famous people from China. We'd interview them. They'd perform. It was really cool. It's really cool.
Hey, Butch, who was the famous guy from China you brought in? Was it Wing Lo or Ching Ha? Okay. Hey, come on. No, work with me. Listen, you know what I found out about China is we were out drinking one night. They got counterfeit booze. It's like counterfeit booze. Like, that's why the bartenders smashed the bottles with the hammers so Butch Bradley never comes back. No, they would smash. No, they smashed the bottles
Schubert.
with the hammers because they would fill them up with fake booze.
Yo, Schubert.
One time,
it's great.
remember I woke up with a fake hangover from all that fake booze?
Yo, Schubert.
Yeah.
Yo, first of all, you are the sensei of drinking stories. There's stories about you from the 70s. Don't you think we should stop?
Bro,
Oh my God,
was
I
12.
just remembered, actually, we had you both there at the same time. There was one gig you did.
Yeah.
What
Yo,
do you
I
say
totally-
that one?
Yeah, I
Jimmy,
forgot
it
about
proves that Andy and Turner are crazier than both of us.
that.
No, bro.
Butch,
Yo, when Butch Bradley and Jimmy Schubert are the voice of reason, you got a fucking problem.
Hey,
You
You know,
got
one
a
thing
fucking
I remember-
problem. Thank
one thing
God.
I remember
has
about
me out there trying to sell snow cones off the goddamn Mr. Softy truck, putting flyers on windshields with flyers that say "Nichi no Pagama."
Good luck trying to get a word in on your own show, Dennis.
exactly.
that's all right. Well, one thing I wanted to say is that I remember I was really charmed by the comedy scene there in Shanghai.
Dennis, do you have me muted? I can't hear you.
Dennis,
You
you
can't
are
hear me. That's
funny.
not what that would be me muting me. I haven't
Yeah.
muted myself. Can you not hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy has his internal mute button on you.
Okay,
Anyway.
well, first up, bro, I got news for you. You don't even have video, Andy, so you shouldn't judge me.
Dennis, he's still running.
Okay.
He's still
You look
running.
great, though, Andy. You look
Hey,
great.
Andy, what do you got? One of those wood burning computers?
It's the
Why
problem.
don't you join us in the 21st century?
It's actually
Andy's
because
in Hong
they
Kong
make
now,
them
right?
over here. They
Andy,
make
you're in
them
Hong
over here.
Kong.
I'm
right?
in Hong Kong. I'm in
Listen,
Hong Kong.
I've been all over the world with Butch Bradley.
What the fuck?
We were in Israel. No, I'm serious. I don't even know what the question was. I can't hear Dennis. I don't know what I can't hear.
Let Dennis talk.
Can you hear anybody else? Can you hear anybody else, Jimmy?
I gotta get Jimmy on every Zoom meeting I have for the rest of my life.
Right?
I'm gonna look over here in the private chat.
Text him. Yeah, you know, I thought the scene was incredibly cool because these guys had comics from Iran. They had a local guy, Storm Shoe. They had German comics, French comics, English comics. It was pretty incredible scene to in the beginning that they brought all these people together and created sort of a house of comedy. You could see it building, and quickly, you know, just as an observer looking in, you could see how massive China was as they're building this scene in a place where you're really not supposed to say everything you're thinking and feeling. It was cool.
Yeah, and it felt to me like the comedians, there was young comedians of all Americans, Germans, English, and they were surprisingly original and clever and going at it in a way which was charming. It wasn't all just they weren't coming at it with just 5 minutes of shock and that. They were all unique, and I enjoyed it.
There were some really incredibly well-written comics, and I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's ass, but Andy was one of the first dudes I saw on stage, and they seemed like an advanced group for new comedians because I was trying to tell jokes, and they were like, there was bigger premises. There were some really strong new comedians there. Really was.
I think, thanks, Butch and Dennis. And I think a big part about, as we all know, a lot of stand-up, big part of it is having a life experience, something to talk about.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, you start when you're 16 and people are like doing clubs when they're 20, but life hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
But for everybody in Shanghai, just the idea of moving across the world, whether you're from Ireland or England or the US, Canada, wherever, just that is an experience that you have, the wealth of stuff you have to draw on. Like creating an original premise is not difficult because you've had this life that most people have never had. You're living an original life.
We'd already had a life that we'd messed up and had to run away from.
That's it.
Wait, that is the best. I was actually a lost boy.
Yes.
Yeah, it was the Lost Boys. It was the Lost Boys and the Lost Girls.
So, Dennis, what did you think of the shows? I know we started in Hangzhou, I believe, with you, which was a notorious. Butch and I did Hangzhou a lot together. That was a notoriously insane. I think half the people were on drugs in that audience.
You know,
Jimmy,
Hey, Jimmy, check the chat. I'm going to turn the log off
Shoot it, Jimmy.
Back on.
Jimmy, you can come back in the classroom.
I can't tell what's more enjoyable, watching him talk in silence or
Jimmy, I can't hear you. Log off and log back on.
Jimmy, I think
yeah,
the
what did you
Chinese
think of it,
figured out
Dennis?
what you're about to say about them, and they switched off your computer.
Hey, Ryan, you got someplace to go? You got to go?
Yeah. I was supposed to meet someone at 7. So
All right. Well, I appreciate you being on. Thanks a lot. And we'll have you on again sometime, Ryan. It was fun. It was a great trip with you.
It's been great. Thanks for having me on Jimmy's show today.
Cheers.
Jimmy
All right, later, guys.
All right. Bye, Ryan.
Bye.
Where we ended up, Hangzhou, we ended up like doing karaoke and one of those like at the end with the owner or something.
Yeah,
oh my
it was that
God.
place.
Wait, didn't you get locked out of your room naked in Hangzhou?
I got knocked out of my room naked in Hong Kong.
No, you definitely got locked out of your room naked in Hangzhou. I'm 100% sure of it.
I mean, listen, we all got locked out of our rooms naked somewhere.
Well, it's real easy to get lost. You know, you hear in the States, it's real easy to get lost there because here in the States, you leave and you go, hey, look, I'm at the Marriott. You just remember one thing. You have a phone number and your phone or something.
Yeah.
And there, you'd have to write down the name of the hotel in Chinese to be able to show it to a cab driver and not lose that piece of paper. You know what I mean? If you lost a piece of paper and you're somewhere, you're like, and it had to be writing that guy would understand too. You know.
Also, I think in Butch's defense, I think you were just going to the bathroom. Like, I think you got up in the middle of the night in the dark and tried to go to the toilet.
I don't know what happened. It's reverberated. Sorry.
This is a circus.
Yeah. You know what's great about I made a million mistakes in China. And what was cool about China was they don't judge you. They're just like, you go fucking live with that. Like,
well, you know what's funny? It's funny to hear you say that because I forgot about it. But actually, that era is over. It isn't like that anymore. It was that then. Yeah, they care now. If you do shit like that.
Thank God I made it through that period without them.
Mate, it doesn't. You literally, everyone I know. I met someone in Hong Kong the other day who lived there at that time, and we were talking about. We're like, remember what it was like? It is not like that anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah, I talked to Matt Davis, and Matt Davis told me his last time through there, like he got arrested at a comedy club. Someone said they saw him doing drugs. He goes, I don't do drugs. I don't even drink. They grabbed his passport, took him down to the police station, and made him sit there and do a urine test. And I said, boy, I knew when I heard that story, I said, boy, did we get in when the right time was good. And, and both Butch and Dennis are right. You guys ran a great operation over there. It was a lot of fun to watch. There were Irish guys and guys from. I remember I was doing a show in Wuji, and there was a kid at their old English pub, and there was a kid in the audience. He was from California, and he was just laughing like he was laughing like extra hard. It was kind of weird, and he goes, you know, you don't understand. I'm from California. I'm over here doing an intern at a law firm over here, and I'm so homesick. He goes, watching you, I just thank you so much. It was like one of those things because you're right. They were all expats, and there was nothing for them to do. You know.
You know.
I remember that show, The Red Line. With Les.
The only thing that explains Andy and Turner that I would believe is if you two were actually in the CIA and you used comedy as your cover.
Which, by the way, would be a great cover if you were like a stand-up comedian. Would be a great cover for a CIA operative.
Oh yeah.
I do have the cure for the coronavirus in the basement right now.
Explain everything,
right?
You know.
Hey, I want to show a picture of Shanghai. We're talking about Shanghai, and a lot of people have never been there and don't know. But Shanghai is a beautiful city. It's a gigantic city. It's got. Let me see. How do I do this again? This is. I don't know whose picture it's going to cover. Hopefully Andy's, because he's not on there anyway.
All of us.
We took the whole thing.
That's the bun, right? The bun.
Yeah.
That's a picture of Shanghai.
Yeah, that's Pudong.
I
from the
think
bunch.
Andy rescued me from the red building once.
You know, Andy
Maybe
rescued
twice.
me. Andy rescued me one time too. Andy, do you remember this?
Oh, I remember.
But do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking
Well,
about.
why don't you tell it then? Maybe I'm taking a chance with you telling it, but I'll
yeah,
correct you if you make a mistake.
Yeah, I don't know. I got there was a very young, very pretty girl that was giving me a lot of attention after the show, and then I get a call at like 4 a.m. and Dennis is like, "Hey, buddy," I'm like, "Hey, man, what's up?" He's like, "Nothing. What are you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, you know, just sleeping because it's 4 in the morning." He's like, "Can you come to my hotel and pick me up? There's a girl passed out on my floor, and I don't want to be here when she wakes up."
Yeah. Yeah, here's what happened. I met this woman. She was a young woman, very attractive. She was Asian. She was American, but she was Asian. She didn't speak Chinese, but she took me to, which is probably pretty hard, right? To look Chinese but not speak Chinese in China.
In China.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we had fun. We went to some bar, and there was just they were making these shots and flaming drinks and all that stuff. We had fun, and I overdid it a little bit. She overdid it a lot, and then, but we were just go. I was taking her home in a taxi. I was gonna. It was the taxi. My place, my hotel was close. It was gonna drop me off, and then her, and then. Sounds
like a Dateline confession.
Well, and then, but she was passed out in the taxi. So I'm thinking, well, I can't just let her go in Shanghai, just go on her own. So I thought I'd do the right thing. And I'd take her up to my room. And then she passes out.
That's not the right.
She passes out in my bed.
Oh, that must
And then I think,
horrible.
and I'm just thinking, man, this could be a bad scene if she wakes up and just freaks. You know, like, what am I doing here? And calls up. Now I'm in jail in China, and I got to call a lawyer or whatever. So I called Andy.
That's the best. That's the next best thing.
I called Andy. Andy was kind of my
Fixer.
We should have had a podcast called Comedians Rescuing Comedians in China.
Hey, you remember when we were doing that? What was the gig? I think it was the actual Shanghai, the main gig. Saturday night.
Can I just add one last part to Dennis's story? I just remembered.
Sure.
So the plan we came up with was like, I was like, you just don't want to be alone when she wakes up. So I hid in the fire stairwell. And I was like, you just wake her up, and if shit goes down, I'll just stroll down like I was here the whole time.
oh.
So I was just, it's like 4:30 in the morning, and I'm hidden in this friggin' fire stairwell waiting for this shit.
Yeah. Well,
Can you imagine how
not
much
like Butch.
experience Andy's had with all of us crazy people that he's like, I got a plan.
Andy was always the guy you called because Andy was always the fixer. He was
the guy in Pulp Fiction. In Pulp Fiction. I'll just say, please, with sugar on top.
But Dennis, by the way, you can always tell if they're really Chinese because when they have a couple drinks, they break out. They get very red. They don't have the enzyme that breaks down the proteins and alcohol. And I only know that because I was drinking with a girl one time, and she got all banged up. And she turned into fucking Bozo the Clown. The fucking red. It spread it to her cheeks. I go, you got that? What they call it? It's a real thing. It's called the what is it called?
Racism.
Flush.
It's called racism.
I didn't know that.
No, he knows what I'm talking about. They drink and they get red.
Hey, Jimmy.
Bye, Joe.
Hey, Jimmy, do you remember the third floor at the Shanghai Hotel?
Yeah.
What happened there?
Well, what happens, there's a thing called, no, this is a true story. We were up in what's that, Nanjing. We were up there in Nanjing. After we toured the museum and saw the exhibit of the rape of Nanjing, where the Japanese imperialistic army cut babies in 4 pieces. Horrible. You really don't feel like doing comedy afterwards. Thanks for the cultural thing. But the guy comes up to us after a show and says, oh, where you go? I said, well, we were staying in Shanghai. That's where we're doing the weekend. He goes, oh, you got to get the tornado blowjob. I go, whoa, what the hell is the tornado blowjob? He goes, 3rd floor Shanghai Hotel. you walk in, he goes, there's mouse spice options. They put in cinnamon. They put in, and what happens is they give you the masuji, they give you a massage, and then they hang upside down in those acrobarrel stuff, and they twist their legs around, and they lay their heads down, and they put their mouth on your member, and they let the thing unwind, right? Sorry, first off, not everybody makes first team Cirque du Soleil, all right? Not all these girls get on the Chinese acrobatic team. Some of these girls still have to feed their families. So they came up with it was called a tornado blow. I go, get out. Guys,
I like how you use the word member to clean that bit up.
Yeah. He wouldn't want to be offensive or anything like that.
Family entertainment. But I didn't know about it. And I was like, boy, we got to go. I never got one. But I told the story like I did got one. And the next three guys, Ari Shafir, one goes, I'm going. They just fucking go.
Jimmy's the only person I know in history who's lied and said he did get a prostitute.
Yeah. You know how you were talking.
I don't. A lot of chicks pay me to fucking give them the Irish hammer. You know what I'm saying?
Turner, you were talking a minute ago about how it's good to come to stand up with some life experiences, but Jimmy has a few too many life experiences, and Butch now, I'm afraid too.
So Dennis, what did you like about the show? What do you think? What was your? What do you think about doing the shows there?
Well, you know what?
Like the bars and everything.
The thing about doing comedy is you only really remember the shows that are really bad. The good shows you just enjoy, and they kind of become kind of the part of that part of your brain. And I just remember having great shows. I remember having fun shows. You had good setups. There were these one-nighters. Some of them looked like they were going to be scary because it would remind you of a bar outside in New Jersey or something like that. But they ended up just being a ball. The people were very attentive and loved having us, and they were good crowds. What I remember leaving, like I did the first show in Shanghai, I think the first night, and people, you guys can correct me. What is this? The population of Shanghai, I just looked it up. It was 35 million or something like that. Is that wrong?
25.
Yeah. And to give some context to it, New York is much less than that, depending on how you measure it, whether it's just a city, but it's much less. And then you leave there, 25 million people, and you drive about an hour in traffic for a one-nighter out there, and it's a city with 12 million people in it.
Yeah.
It's like freaky amounts of people.
Yeah.
There was,
and there was also these ghost towns too, where they had these giant buildings and no one was living in them.
I think that was North Korea.
Yeah. That was night one of the tour.
Is that one of the nights you got lost, bitch? Butch? I called him bitch.
Bitch.
Is that one of the nights you got lost? You ended up in North Korea?
Well, Butch and I did. That's how Butch made money along the way. It was doing shows at our club, but also some corporate things would pop up every once in a while. Butch, remember we did a St. Patrick's Day party an outdoor tent in the middle of the afternoon?
Oh my God.
That was the wildest show I've ever done. There was 1,000 people in a tent, and they were all in buffet lines. It was like
it was for the Irish guy, some Irish dude who buddies with one of you or both of you, and he had the bar and free, and that was insane. Insane.
No one, I had to go up first and do 10 minutes, and I've been doing comedy for like a couple of years. I didn't know what I was doing. And it was the biggest bomb I'd had to that date, because it wasn't that people didn't like me. It's that no one out of 1,000 was paying attention. I think like 3 people were watching.
It was horrific.
It was like and one other person.
I did a corporate gig like that at the Peninsula Hotel here, and it was for a Chinese bank.
Yeah.
And I get to the lobby, and everybody's speaking Chinese. I'm going, oh, these people. I'm going, oh, this is going to be horrible.
I would have thought that'd be your
I didn't hear
grand
one
advantage
stuff. And then this woman comes up in an evening gown, my opening act, and she's a one-string Korean fiddle player that brings down the house. Something you should have saw on PBS, or like some kind of. She's in an evening gown, and people. It wasn't a dry ass in the place after she got done. And then they go, hey, who's ready for some comedy? Bro, I went down like an Iraqi fighter pilot. I went down so hard. But again, another Chinese situation.
Well, it was
thought she'd be perfect opener for you.
Andy, were you Hong Kong?
Yeah, I'm in Hong Kong
What's the
now.
situation there right now? Is it still kind of locked up from everything, politics and COVID?
The comedy club is opening tonight in about 10 hours. So
that's great, man.
Let's all go.
Cool,
Let's
man.
get on
Good
a
for
flight.
you, bro.
We're going.
yeah, so we've had 0 cases in the community for like 3 weeks or something now. They're totally on top of it. And I could send you photos. I don't know if I can send photos, but there was a beach last weekend and it was like Chinese New Year. It was like more packed than any beach you'd ever want to be on. You know, no distancing or anything. Just people are. It's funny because when people think that it's gone, they just run out and they just want to be out amongst people.
Yeah. Hey, you give me a ring if you need me to come over there.
Sounds like a good place where you should have done a gig with Turner. Turner could have opened up done a little spot there, 10-minute spot at the beach.
In Hong Kong? Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, that'd go great. Yeah, a bunch of people don't speak English trying to swim.
Hey, I'm going to show another picture here. You guys, can you guys see the picture or no? You can't, right?
Yeah.
Wow. I think that says it all.
Yeah.
That says it all.
Poor Andy. Poor Andy. Yeah. What the fuck?
I don't know.
Jimmy looks like he had the tornado that he didn't have.
Can I share another Jimmy story? I don't know if it was. I think it was the year before that one.
Okay, but before Andy, let me just say that because we don't have your picture on the screen, that's Andy to the left, and that's Butch in the middle, and that's Jimmy Schubert on the right. That's
Tornado Schubert.
That's Tornado Schubert.
What you can't see below the photo is the Cirque du Soleil performer. Who's over a barrel.
Yeah. What story are you going to tell, Andy?
Yeah, I'm gonna get vetoed from.
And is it going to ruin my career? Is it going to ruin my career?
So we were in Nanjing, and there was a girl from like rural outer Nanjing who came to the show and was Jimmy's biggest fan ever. I mean, like, she was getting the Asian flush just looking at him, and she came all the way to Shanghai. Like 3 hours away on a high-speed train and rocked up to the show. Like, this is amazing. And Jimmy was like, oh, she seems like she's into me. I'm like, I don't know, mate. People from regional parts here, you know, they're just very friendly. They don't really know what's going on. And anyway, we finished the show. We can't find Jimmy anywhere. I'm like, Tim, you seen Jimmy? Like, I haven't seen him anywhere. Anyway, Jimmy comes out of the comedy room, like, sweating like he's been interrogated for the last 10 years. And he's managed to hook up with this farm girl minutes after he came off stage in the comedy room.
Quick.
Well, what happened was I was standing there talking, and she comes up, and I'm sitting on a bar stool, and she's rubbing like her thing on my knee. I'm just sitting there talking. I was having a conversation. She's just rubbing it, like standing there talking, but just like kind of rubbing it on my knee. You know? I mean, what would you do?
This is wonderful.
Oh my God, Dennis, is that what you had planned?
Almost caused an international incident.
She started with the knee, huh?
No, I'm not even joking. I was just trying to mind my business and do the right thing. And if someone starts coming up and running the vajij on the kneecap, I mean, you know, what are you going to do?
I'm not sure. I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
Never having your way.
Yeah.
Butch, you look like you need to turn the AC on over there, man.
Dude, I'm just like, leave me out of the stories. I paid for my sins. Please, just leave me out.
Hey, we all, you know, that's right. That's right.
Let me see if we're going to say goodnight here in a minute, but let me see if I got this right. All comedy clubs in the United States are shut down because of this coronavirus, which originated, we believe, in China. And the club in Hong Kong is opening up tonight.
Yeah.
They got us again.
Well, that's what COVID stands for. COVID stands for Chinese origin viral infectious disease. It's COVID, Chinese origin viral infectious.
Oh, you made that up. That's not right.
19.
Is that actually real? I'm not even sure.
No, he's trying to be a professor now.
Now, what are you being, an asshole? Would I ever come at you guys without facts? That's what it stands for.
I think you might be right.
That's exactly what it says. What are you? What? You know, but
Dennis, did you think this show through?
No.
Butch, why don't you tell what Butch? Why don't you tell him about the Babushka Club in Israel?
No, that's another podcast, Jimmy.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. We'll do that next week.
Yeah. I just want to thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it. I had fun. I hope you had fun. I hope people had fun watching it. And I plan to do some more of these live streams and different subjects and stuff like that. And I'm going to have most of you back on.
We should do a follow-up with the Me Too movement response.
Right.
What happened?
What happened?
Hey, who sold out the toilet paper?
We're going to call it a night. Hey, good night, Jimmy. Thanks for being on. Good night, Andy. Good night, Butch. Good night, Ryan and Turner. Good night. Thanks for being on.
Good to see you guys.
God bless.
See you guys. See you.
Take
Bye.
care. Stay safe.